You ready?
Yeah.
All right, Dante Selke. Okay, so honestly, Dante, let's just start. I want to hear. Why don't you tell for our audience, anyone listening? Why don't you just talk about maybe like your high school career a little bit, and what you're doing right now? How about we start there?
All right.
Okay.
Well, in high school, I played 3 sports: baseball, basketball, football. Baseball was my favorite. I play that in college now. But I thought it was important to play basketball and football too, just to
You do? In high school?
Yeah, I believe in playing.
So
multiple
more than
sports.
one sport.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you can learn so much from that, and there's different movements.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And like the research also shows, especially like when we're talking like middle school, like the more single sport athletes are at a higher risk for injury,
Yes.
just because whether it's just one surface that they're getting used to playing on, or a lot of different things. So.
Yeah, that was one of the first things my coach mentioned that I told him.
Really?
When I was in the office talking to him, he's like, "Oh, so you play 3 sports? I like that." They look for people that play more than one sport.
Sure.
So
okay.
that was definitely.
That's actually a good thing to know,
Yeah.
for like younger athletes, and obviously that's not everyone, but
Yeah.
that's. At some school, obviously depending on what level you're at, I think
Yeah.
it matters on how sport specific you have to be early on. I guess that would be a good thing you could say about St. Charles, like smaller town. You get the opportunity to play all 3 sports.
I'd say at least play one other sport.
Yep.
Try it.
Yep.
Try to stay with it.
So did you always kind of know like baseball was your sport?
Yeah, kind of when I was younger. It was my dad's favorite sport, so he kind of pushed that on me. But
Okay.
I mean, obviously, I enjoyed it more. I
Yep.
grew up like when he was playing baseball and softball. I just kind of fell in love with it. It was my best sport, so
Yeah.
I guess that kind of helped out.
Well,
a
I
little
feel
bit.
like that's how a lot of I just feel like that's how a lot of kids start, at least.
Yeah,
is they,
it's whatever one they're the best at.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Okay.
I mean, I like it, and baseball just happened to be the one that I was better at than the other ones, and it grew on me, and I told myself, well, my dad actually asked me in 9th grade when I was in a talk for getting moved up to varsity,
Okay.
but I didn't. He told me, he asked me if I wanted to play college baseball or not, and if I did, that I had to step it up a notch.
Really?
So then, from then on, I kind of got into travel ball. I started working on things a little bit more. Eventually, I got in with you training.
Yep.
And that's where it was that question that I decided I wanted to do it.
Sure. Okay, so I think that's also important though too, because so your dad, it's safe to say your dad gave you that push, but at the end of the day, it was your decision to put in the work, wasn't it? Because I feel like that's a thing I see, a mistake I think a lot of parents make, because I mean, in my opinion, at the end of the day, it's still got to come down to the kid making the decision to want to put the work in.
Kid.
Wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, as much as a parent wants to push their kid, pushing and motivating is different than making them do something,
Exactly.
obviously. So,
The parent's gonna push them as much as they want, but in the back of the mind of the kid, it's whether or not there's a yes or no, whether they
Yeah.
want to push themselves harder.
okay, and you had that in high school,
Yeah.
even. Okay. So, how many years have you been you're at Viterbo now?
This is my junior year, 3rd year playing baseball. I'm a marketing major. Hoping to get on the dean's list this semester with like a
Okay.
3.6.
I like it.
We
The school is important.
Yes,
Student
yeah,
athletes
student
still.
athletes. Yep,
Absolutely.
student comes first.
That's right,
Everybody
that's
will tell
right.
you that. But
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. How strict are they with your grades? Like, do you have a certain GPA that you have to keep, or?
yeah, so starting out, we had study tables where we were forced to go from a certain time to go study for 2 hours, and seniors would make sure everybody was there.
Okay. So is that something like your coaches put in place?
Yes.
Okay.
That was my freshman year, though. Sophomore year, we shied away from it. We started doing better, and now this year we got a 3.1 GPA as a team, which
as
is
a team.
Yeah. Which
Okay,
is
that's pretty good.
pretty good for 40
Yeah,
guys.
yeah,
that,
for sure.
like to have fun.
Okay.
But we did really well, and now we don't have to do study tables.
Okay, so that was kind of a thing that they put in
That's
because you
incentive,
guys were
yeah.
not doing as well in school,
Yeah,
probably?
the
Okay.
guys before me, they weren't doing
Sure.
well, so they implemented that, and
Okay.
now it's an incentive that
Okay.
we don't have to meet up and we can just do it on our own.
Absolutely. So a little bit more responsibility.
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Freedom.
Okay, so talk to anyone out there, maybe high school wanting to play baseball in college. Like, what is the schedule being a student athlete like that?
Well, when
Is it pretty demanding?
Yes. When I go back, it's going to be 6:30.
So it should be noted, we're almost Christmas break
Yes,
here.
almost Christmas break.
Dante's home for Christmas break.
When I go back in January, that first Monday, and Monday through Friday, will be 6:30 to 8:30. 2-hour practice. Will be stretching.
So 6:30 to 8:30 in the morning.
Yes.
So before your classes even start.
Unless you have an 8 a.m., you're allowed to leave only 10 minutes before. You got to go to class sweaty.
Okay.
But I won't have class till 9 or noon, depending on the day.
Okay.
That's just how my schedule works out. But it'll be that. Position players they implement their lifting in with it, with the practice, because pitchers are able to get their work in a little bit quicker.
Sure.
Because it's not hitting and fielding. It's just kind of more of throwing.
Yep.
Especially inside. And then.
And for everyone listening,
I'm a pitcher. I'm a pitcher now.
So
only.
okay.
Yeah, pitcher only.
Okay.
And then pitchers we'll have our lifts at anywhere from 5 to 8 at night, so we'll have to come back, and so it's kind of a quick switch around. As soon as you're done lifting, you're gonna have to either do your homework or go right to bed because you gotta get up early.
Okay.
And then we'll do that until we can get outside, which will be a 3:30 to 5:30, and then lifting after. So
sounds like a pretty packed day.
Yeah, it's like 4 to 5 hours at least.
Of baseball, you're saying 4 to 5 hours of baseball every day, and then how many hours on average would you say you have a class? It depends.
I had 5 classes this last semester, so I had 2 on my Monday, Wednesday, Friday, which only took up about an hour and 45 minutes.
Okay.
My Tuesday, Thursday, I had 3, which were an hour and 20 minutes long.
Yep.
And so you do the math with that. That's 3 hours.
So it's safe to say you're between school and baseball every day.
Yeah.
At least. Well, and then we didn't even talk about homework, obviously. Too.
Yeah, well, just like from the classes compared to baseball practice and lifting, it's more baseball.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then if you add in the homework and studying,
then
it's about equal.
Yep. So we're still talking 10 hours probably a day,
For
8
sure.
to 10 hours a day that between the school and the baseball.
Yep.
I feel like that's a part that a lot of high school kids don't think about. And not saying, obviously there is something to be like high school athletes. I mean, especially like, Drew and, a lot of the kids that lift, throughout the season. I mean, they're getting up pretty early usually by, before 6 a.m. And, a lot of times they don't get done with practice till 6 p.m. So they know, what it is. I guess the difference would be in high school, somebody's making you go to school for 7 or 8 hours a day.
Yeah, that's true.
In college, isn't that probably as much, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe that's a good start too. If he's getting up that early, like we did today, he was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We went and shot this morning with Drew and Owen, and it should be noted too. Like I said, for high school athletes wanting to play a sport at the next level, I don't think a lot of them realize how demanding it actually is. I obviously didn't do a sport in college, but I remember my senior year when I interned as strength conditioning coach. That was like me being in a sport, honestly, because it was 5 or 6 hours a day that I had to be there, and then you add on school time on top of it, and then homework and studying. It's by far a full-time job.
Yeah.
Right.
The real catch is mentally how it gets to you. Physically, obviously.
So talk about that,
So physically, your body's obviously going to be tired here and there, but mentally, it's it really challenges who you are and what if you want to keep doing it. Because I've talked with multiple people from all kinds of teams at Viterbo, and I would say about every person has thought about quitting at one point in their life.
Sure.
And it just comes to that point where you're dog tired, and then you got liftings later tonight. You got 3 papers to write maybe by the end of the week. But you got your spring break coming up, where you got to leave on a 7-hour bus ride, and nobody wants to do homework on a bus. It's not fun.
For sure.
But it just depends. When you come to that one point, you gotta just push through it and decide that you chose this and you won't regret it.
So it makes you basically decide if it's all worth it or not. Yeah.
Yep.
And I think obviously right now we're talking about college athletics, but I would say that it's like that for everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like everyone has had that time, if you're old enough,
Yeah.
Everyone's had that thing that, you question whether it's important enough to you to keep pushing on.
Yeah.
And that's where you kind of come to the fork in the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
So would you say it's more demanding on your mind than it is on your body?
For
or
me,
as equal?
I would say for me it's on my body, but I'd say it gets to other people mentally.
More?
Yeah.
So why do you think that? Is that because maybe they don't love baseball as much? Or what do you think it is?
They start to question whether they actually want to play a sport, or is it just because they wanted to impress people, or maybe their dad's family, or even just wanting to say that they did it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's what it comes down to.
I mean,
don't get me wrong, some of them love it. People love baseball, but I guess it just depends.
It just really makes you have to decide how important it is to you, right?
And you got to make sure it doesn't affect your studying.
Yeah.
That was a big deal.
So at the end of the day, so for you personally, I mean, you're playing baseball in college. You are only going to college to get a degree, correct?
Yes.
Would you say so the baseball is just something you're doing while you're in college, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, and the scholarship helps.
Yep.
So
you did get a scholarship.
That does take money off.
So that's huge, obviously.
Yep. That helps, but yeah, I'm going to school for marketing. So I don't plan on playing baseball after.
Okay.
Even if I was good enough to get attention, I don't think I would.
You don't think you would?
No.
Okay. How come?
I don't know. I just don't believe it's something I want to do the rest of my life. I'd rather be with people every day.
Okay.
Trying to sell them or.
So you just know that have you kind of known that all along?
I would say after freshman year.
After freshman year?
I mean, I came in. I just wanted to have an open mind to see what really happened.
Sure.
And it just kind of hit me at a certain point where I just decided I'm okay with having a job someday where I go 9 to 5. I mean, and I'll travel a little bit. I'm gonna be fine with that.
I honestly think that's awesome. I feel like that is something that as a college athlete, isn't that something that I'm sure every college athlete has that at one point or another, I'm assuming, has that want to play professional.
So,
would you agree?
Move on further, yes.
Yeah.
So
pretty much any athlete that's ever played any sport at college has probably had that thought at least once, right?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. Mm-hmm. But you are okay with putting in the time and the energy in college to play baseball.
Yeah.
Because it would obviously be way easier if you weren't, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it'd be way easier you have to see all your friends that aren't playing sports, and they can kind of screw off a lot more, can't they?
I live with all baseball guys too.
You do? Okay.
I'd be pretty much left alone in my house.
So that helps, obviously.
Yes.
Because you're not with a bunch of random guys that party every night.
No, yeah.
Okay. That obviously helps.
Oh yeah, you build a lot of friendships too. The bond is, they always have your back too if you ever get in trouble.
Sure.
Yeah.
So switching gears a little bit, would you say that's an important, because I've always thought that is an important part of high school sports, is the whole team, the camaraderie. Mm-hmm. Do you have that at the college level?
Yes.
You do? More so, or?
I believe so.
You would say more so?
Especially if you live with them. You get to really, once you live with somebody, you figure out who they really are.
Oh, for sure.
The way they act when nobody's around, or how they present themselves, how they clean.
You get to see a real, their
full self.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or at least more than what you would usually
in that case, I think that's one aspect that makes it more so it makes it like more of a bond.
Okay.
And I believe the social aspect, just having fun and all the fundraising and stuff like that we do. We didn't do that.
So talk about that. So do you guys do a lot of fundraising as a team?
Yes,
Okay.
We work security for the Badger games in Madison.
Yep.
We do football, basketball, hockey. We just scan tickets. It's a great way of making a lot of money for 40 guys to come work.
Sure.
And they pay for our bus if we have so many guys come with. So that's how we're able to go to Florida and Georgia this year.
Okay, so talk about that. So are you guys doing that to go on like your trips basically in the spring?
Yep, trips, new cleats, equipment, I guess, new jerseys.
Okay.
We just recently changed colors, so we're still working on getting all our new equipment the same colors.
So all you 40 baseball players all get together and fundraise. How often?
Last year we did probably 12 to 14 events.
Wow,
This
that's awesome.
Yeah, this year it's a little bit laid back. We worked 4 this fall, and we'll be working another 4.
Okay.
So I'd say about every other weekend.
And I think, and obviously, guys, so, this is Viterbo.
Yeah, it's a D1 NAI. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, obviously you're going to have D2 and D1 schools. You're not going to have to fundraise
Sure.
like this.
Well, and but I was just going to say, so like at Edwardsville, that's what that is right there. I know the athletes did, and see, now I'm questioning now whether it was fundraising or if it was just
Team
like,
bonding.
Charity, volunteer
Yeah.
work, stuff like that. So I guess I can't speak to
Well,
that
we
part.
did that too.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
we do the turbo rings where it's like the Salvation Army.
Oh, okay.
We have to do that too.
So you do stuff like that
Oh,
also?
yeah, but the Madison part is definitely for getting money.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that something your coaches implement
Yeah.
or okay?
They got it from another coach. They told them about the idea.
I think that's pretty. I mean, again, I'm not saying I have a lot of experience at different colleges, but I feel like that's something that a lot of coaches try implementing for their players. Because I mean, it does matter what you're doing off of the field. Also,
that's true.
You're obviously, I always liked coaches that care, because I try to, obviously as a strength coach, I'm limited, compared to like a head coach or whatever like that. But I always felt like it was important to have, to build that, character also on top of just the athlete. I think we get too performance based, obviously, all the time, and which is easy to do. That's obviously what we care about. But there is another side also. And you would say that's important too?
Yeah, I mean, our coach would rather have us turn into men than be like really good baseball players and be still boys that act immature.
Absolutely.
That was one thing that he stresses so much. He wants to turn us into men. And he believes that through this, that it keeps us out of trouble. I mean, we're learning other life skills by dealing with people.
For sure.
I guess the way things work. And, I don't know, become like working together as one. Just like you would on the field.
Yep. I think that's, like I said, that's a great message for, again, high schoolers wanting, parents of high schoolers hoping to play, a sport in college, or the actual athletes themselves. Like, it's not, obviously at the end of the day, how good you are at that sport does matter.
Yes.
I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't, but coaches definitely do look for that, don't they?
That's for sure.
They look for their character in an athlete, their work ethic. You just the athletes that don't want to put in the work, seems like they don't last.
They don't.
Would you agree with that? I mean, obviously there are exceptions.
Yes.
People that are
there's
just
always gonna be
naturally
exceptions in different
that gifted.
situations.
Sure.
Where they're just gonna be, God gifted.
Yep.
They won't have to work as hard and they can just kind of slide through.
Absolutely.
But coaches aren't dumb. They see things like that.
Yeah.
And I'd say even like in their first interview with coaches, they see what you're like, how you present yourself, how you talk, and how you walk around about yourself. They notice it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
They're
I mean,
gonna realize if you're a hard
once
worker or
you
not.
and I think I personally feel like athletes forget that aspect a lot, but like people aren't stupid.
No.
And you, as a coach, you spend enough time around the athletes, you get a pretty good sense of, you know, which ones are actually, you know, doing the things that they're supposed to be doing.
Oh yeah.
That's usually not that hard to figure out. Talk a little bit about like so how did you pick Viterbo? Did they seek you out?
Yeah.
Like how did that all work?
So my other options were D3 schools around here.
Okay.
Like I was thinking about Gustavus, but I mean ticket price there was like $50,000.
More expensive, yeah.
And
it's private school.
I only got a 25 on my ACT, and I needed to get a 26 to be able to get a third off.
Okay.
So that played a huge factor in not going there.
Okay.
Viterbo was able to give me money off. My academic scholarship took a lot off right away too.
Okay.
Financial aid also, they give out good financial aid there.
Okay.
So I mean, it's a private school, so it's a little bit more expensive.
It is, okay.
But I mean, to me, it's pretty much just like another public school or state school.
So you basically weighed the options. You knew you wanted to play college baseball somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I already narrowed it down to the team or the places that I would play baseball at. Then I started going into school, which they had 100% job placement in their business program.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, I should be having a job coming out there for sure.
Good.
And that played a huge factor, and then it came down to money.
Yeah, I think most people would be in the exact same boat also. So, so I guess go into how structured are your practices, I guess, but more so like your lifting training. How are there coaches there for all of them? Do you guys do a lot of that stuff as a team, and do you get to do it more individual? Like, what is like your experience with that?
For lifting?
Lifting practice more so in the off season. Like, is practice all year round with the coaches?
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's obviously the assistant coaches. We have the main pitching coach, which he works with. There's two pitching coaches, but we have the main one that works with us every day. He works on our stuff individually. He's always there for lifting. He opens the gym up. Our head coach just kind of, when we have practice going on, he just kind of foresees everything. He walks around, he yells out when we switch to the next station.
Okay.
He'll
so he's running things, obviously.
Yes. I mean, he runs it through the assistant coaches too. So he'll let the infield coach know that it's time to switch to the next one. The assistant coaches pretty much run them. They usually do it individually. But we'll have days where our head coach goes around with like the hitters and even pitchers sometimes, and he'll talk about movements, techniques, and individual things with them.
Okay.
So
are you
there's
guys
those days that he is direct on hands.
Okay. Are you guys in like small groups, or is it pretty much like pitchers, position players?
Yeah. So right away we start off. Stretching is different for position players and pitchers.
Okay.
But for lifting, we're separate too.
Okay.
For pitchers and position players, and we'll have like small groups. So we have 15-minute increments where you have the first group of like 4 come in, then you get stretched out. You come 10 minutes early to stretch out, and then you should be ready to go.
Okay.
And then 15 minutes, and you should be able to be done with that first superset.
Okay.
So then the next group can come in.
Gotcha. Okay. So what about you said you guys usually lift in the evenings, right? Are you doing that?
Well, the pitchers are. Position players go in the morning.
Okay, all right. So you, as your pitchers group, you guys lift in the evening.
Yes.
How many days a week usually?
I just came back from 4 days a week.
4 days a week.
When we had
but it's the off season, obviously.
Yeah. So fall ball is 2 to 3.
Okay.
A lot of legs, nothing too hard on the arms because we're already, throwing every day.
Sure.
There's a lot of band work and all that.
Okay.
So it's a lot of legs.
Yep. What about when you guys start getting into the season then?
It'll be 2 to 3 to start out, but once we start getting the games, we'll start working around that. So,
sure. So like how often will you guys have games once you guys start this thing?
We'll have like maybe non-conference on like a Wednesday.
Okay.
So we'll do lift on Monday or Tuesday, depending on how you feel. He'll sometimes give the options the day before.
Okay.
Which is kind of nice because sometimes even like squatting in your arm hurts. It's
absolutely.
It definitely takes its toll on you.
Yeah, for sure.
So sometimes I don't want to lift the day before if I know I'm going to pitch.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'll have like non-conference on a Wednesday, and then we'll leave a Thursday or Friday to go like to North Dakota, South Dakota, where our conference is at.
Okay.
If it's not home.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay.
So I mean, that day you can get a lift in.
Yep.
We're fine with that. Sometimes.
So would you say like a couple times a week once the season starts?
2 to 3. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's maintaining at that.
And
point.
how many games you guys play in a week usually? Like 2 to 3 probably?
No.
No?
Probably sometimes it's 4 to 6.
4 to 6, okay.
Yeah, because if we play that non-conference on Wednesday, that's usually a doubleheader.
You usually play
And then we
doubleheader.
play a 4-game series Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
On
So
the
usually
weekend.
4 to 6 games a week.
Yep.
For 3 months?
No, it's
2
like
months?
2 months now.
2 months, okay. Okay. Is that a grind with school? Because obviously we're talking April and May, right?
Yes.
Mainly?
Yes.
So you have finals coming up at that time,
it's
right?
It's definitely a grind at that point. You definitely learn your time management during that time. But also our advisors are pretty good. We structure around it. So we usually take our hard classes in the fall. And then in the spring, if there's a little bit easier classes, we'll work with that.
So they help you kind of rearrange your schedule so they know that the spring is going to be intense for you guys. Because obviously, if we're talking about a volleyball player or, a different sport, obviously the timing is going to be different.
Exactly.
I always felt for like baseball baseball and softball players, obviously in the spring, like everyone's getting, ready to go home and they're all like in their season still.
We're still getting up at 6 a.m.
Yeah. So I always felt for you guys come the springtime.
Well, yeah, that's the thing about baseball. I mean, we even had games in the fall, and we're still practicing, doing our World Series and working on other things. So it's pretty much all year round.
All year round.
Yeah. But the heavier load, obviously, is in the spring.
Sure. Okay. I guess to close, what advice would you give to a parent of let's say a parent of a potential college athlete, but maybe their son or daughter is in middle school, maybe high school? What would you say?
Well, from my experience, I would say ask them that question, if they want to play or not, and if they want to, if they're actually going to push themselves, if they can do it on their own, and if they want to do it on their own.
So basically, like, give them the tools if they're interested.
If you straight up with them, if they're going to use the tools, then you can supply them with it. But I mean, don't waste your money or time with it if they tell you straight up,
they're just not
even if
into
if they have doubt about it.
Okay.
Because they're going to know deep down.
They will.
Yeah.
Okay. So then what would your advice be to the high school or middle school athlete that thinks that they're going to play a sport in college?
I mean, I guess ask yourself.
Like, is there anything you wish you would have known or would have done differently, or something you know?
I wish I would have realized it when I was younger.
Realize what?
That I wanted to play.
Okay.
But I mean that you gotta be careful with that. You don't want to realize it too early and push yourself where you wear yourself out.
Or think you realize it.
Yes.
Too early, obviously, too.
But I still wish I could have realized it earlier. I would have tried working harder and developed my game even more. Because my parents were there. They were ready to supply me with whatever I needed for it.
So if you would have just made that decision earlier.
Yep.
So basically, if I'm understanding this correctly, maybe work a little harder when you're younger.
Yes. When I was younger.
And see what happens?
Because I didn't really start working hard until, I'd say, ninth grade up.
Sure.
Kind of slacked. Middle school, but I mean, it's middle school.
And that's just it. Like, I always go back and forth because obviously you are still a kid at that age.
Yeah,
you should still be having fun. But also, I do think it is when we're talking about college athletes, like, it is obviously a different breed of person. I mean, not that many people play a sport in college. It's just...
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing I would say, because otherwise I believe I worked pretty hard junior, senior year.
Yeah,
coming
you
back,
did.
preparing myself for it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the summer going into it, too, you got to work hard. Otherwise,
you're
going to realize that first day, that this is not high school anymore. Everybody's gonna be faster than you, stronger than you, and they can definitely hit a ball farther than you.
So it made you
Humble yourself.
humble yourself. I don't think that's a terrible thing at all.
No.
I feel like college does that to a lot of people.
Well, yeah, I believe when you're good in high school, it kind of blows
Sure.
people's head out sometimes.
Sure, absolutely.
You know, you
And
start
then
walking
go to-
around, you're like, oh, I'm going to play college sports.
Yeah.
And then you get there, you're like, oh.
And then you go to
geez.
college and everyone is that good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you joining, Dante. Like I said, I think that's important I think you said a lot of good things, honestly. I'm hoping, parents and athletes alike are, listen to that
Yep.
and hopefully take that for something they can use down the road.
Yeah.
Hopefully. All right, buddy. Hey, thanks for joining.